Creative Magic Club. What's up? This is Sarah Mack and welcome to Creative Magic Club. Together, we'll discover inspirational stories of creative entrepreneurs living out their dreams, doing the work they are most passionate about, and building wealth in magical and fun ways. While building a six-figure income as a writer and coach, helping other women to launch their dream businesses, I've connected with so many incredible people and seen it proven again and again that you can thrive financially doing whatever it is you are passionate about. I'm here to share life-changing strategies for mindset, making money, and reaching more people with your work in a business and life filled with creativity, freedom, and fun. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode. I'm so excited to introduce my guest, Cristina Bold, who is a money mindset mentor, helping visionary, heart-centered women entrepreneurs own their power and grow their wealth from a space of ease, alignment to soul, and inspiration. Cristina is the mentor behind some of the top coaches and mentors changing the world right now. And previously, Cristina was a corporate communications executive working with some of the biggest European and global brands. And Cristina is one of my all-time favorite coaches. I've been working with her for years. I'm working with her again right now. I love everything that she's doing, and I'm so excited to share her wisdom with you today. Thank you so much for joining us, Cristina.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me.
So let's kick this off with a bit of backstory. How did you end up being the money mindset mentor that you are today?
Beautiful question. So, in a nutshell, I think that it was more the path that chose me than me choosing the path. I was working as a corporate person, as many probably of the people that are watching, listening to this. And then just life kicked me in another direction, which was a direction that I was longing for and I was wishing for, but I just didn't have the courage to go for it. So the story goes quite simple. Girl meets a boy. The boy was living overseas, was living in the other side of Europe. So the girl has to make a choice. In fact, they make a choice together and they decide to live where he lives. And this is how I found myself living or starting a life in a country that I was not, I knew very little about. I didn't speak the local language. I was coming from a corporate job of high exposure in big corporations to live in a basically provincial city that was in the crisis. It was the previous crisis. By the way, I built my business during a crisis, during a recession, and this is something that I love to remind people. So basically, I had to go for where my soul was leading me without excuses, because there was no other chance. There was no B plan. So I didn't start this work because I was courageous or because I was brave enough to just leave my corporate job behind. Was because there were no other alternatives for me at that time. And I really, really had to listen to my heart and follow my soul path. And then as I started this new journey initially it was as a healer. So I had to assume myself as a healer, which was very, very hard and challenging for a corporate person, right? Like, what does a healer do and what qualifies me as a healer was the corporate brain asking me. And because it was very, very hard for me to present myself in that way and to embrace that identity, I decided to go for what every corporate brain is going for, certification. So I went for a school and I created a coaching business. And I had the coaching business. I had the beautiful, lovely website. I had the certifications. I had everything except for the money flow. So I was disheartened to realize that just having a pretty business and a pretty brand and a pretty website was not going to do it. So I became obsessed. I became really obsessed with understanding where I was blocking myself and what was actually standing between me and the reality and the impact that I was seeing in my heart. And I guess that this obsession with finding solutions for myself and literally saving myself, bringing myself from a dark night of soul full of doubts and fears and questions around my self-worth and my identity and my capacity to create what I really wanted. All this journey served me, and then in time started serving also the people that I started working with. And as probably you are noticing also, Sarah, in your work, we get to speak about the things that we need to hear more of ourselves. So people started asking me exactly about the things that I was obsessed with. So I started sharing also with others what I was discovering, what I was creating, what was working for me. And this is how I started empowering women to create more wealth. But more wealth, not only in terms of money, but richness in terms of life experiences. That's why at some point I decided to use as a tagline, live your richest life, because in the end, it's not only about the money, it's about all the richness of experiences that we give ourselves permission to access, and then we can also impact others with by inspiring them or by direct contribution. This is in a nutshell.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's so interesting to hear your story. And it was similar for me, and that there was no other option than for me to become an entrepreneur because I was burnt out. I was literally like in Indonesia. I had nowhere to go. I was super broke from doing my master's. And I think when you have no backdoor, it's actually the biggest gift because you just, it's not an option for it to not work out. And that's always the attitude that makes it work out in the end, right? Is that full commitment to the goal. And I'm curious what your business looked like before you shifted into the money mindset work. You said you were working as a healer.
Yeah, I worked a little bit in the beginning before going officially in business. I worked a little bit as a healer offline. Like it was based only on referral. I was charging like $50 per hour. And I remember the thrill of selling my first package of $500. I felt like I was the biggest success ever. This was all offline. So before having really a business online, it was very scary for me to present myself as a healer online, like exposing myself to being judged for basically projecting on others the kind of fears and doubts that I had in myself. So then, because I couldn't deal with those doubts and fears, I needed someone to save me. So I remember that the first investment that I made in a mentor was such a big lesson, that I couldn't see at that moment, but it really grew on me and helped me years later. Year after year, meaning for several years after the investment. So it was a total disaster. I found this lady that was swearing on funnels and on marketing recipes, and I paid for that program the last savings that I had from my corporate job. Like literally, it was like the last money, the last cash that I could see in my account. So I handed that to this coach, and it was at that moment when making the investment, it just felt traumatic because the person was disheartening, was really also in a very limited mindset. So she was explaining how mindset coaches are not going to be successful, how it's impossible to make real money by being a mindset coach. So you just want really to be a business coach in order to make money and to be successful in business. And as I was very, very unsecure myself and not really anchored into my truth, into my knowing, I believed that person, which was representing the authority at that moment. So I was coming from a healer calling, but afraid to present myself as a healer. I thought that the middle ground was to take my, all the knowing that I had acquired through my coaching school and present myself as a mindset coach. Because honestly, mindset and energy was always what I was really interested in, and where my passion was lying. Now I listened to this woman, and I truly believed her at that moment that I will never make it as a mindset. Who wants to know about mindset? People want to know things that will make their money. So I bought into that. I bought into that story, and for a while I decided to call myself a business coach, which was such a painful but good lesson for me, because I realized what being out of integrity felt like. Trying to sell myself as something that I was not. I was feeling like such a fraud. I was feeling in such a big misalignment. And I knew, what was the contrast. I knew from the very beginning what being out of alignment feels like. And then, even if it felt really, really painful and desperate and terrible and horrifying, because all my money went into that experience at that point, that was such a big lesson, because I knew what out of alignment feels like. So then I could always find my way towards alignment by using that contrast. So after that while of just groping around and trying to play the business coach, I decided, what, this is not going to work for me. And I gave myself a deadline, because I was feeling really, really guilty for wasting time and money without helping and contributing to the family. And I decided, what, if I'm not going to make it, or I'm not going to see any results in the next 3 months or so, I'm going to look for a real job. And I guess that took off the pressure of of depending on the success. I felt like, okay, I gave myself permission to really throw everything at it and really have a shot at it, to see if I gave it everything, what happens. And I remember landing my first client, my first online coaching client, for a package of 997. It was the second time in my entrepreneurial life when I was real. I thought, this is the sign that I'm going to be a resounding success in the online world, having sold this package of 997. And it felt so easy, and it felt so, magical and surprising, and with no effort. And I guess that was the moment when I realized, what, there is this part that is missing. And that's when I started getting obsessed with this mindset and energy work. And then I started making the choices of mentors for the right reasons, not to be saved, not because I was desperate, not because I needed to be saved, but because I needed to be inspired. I needed to be shown the way. I needed to calibrate my energy. I was choosing so, from a place of full, radical responsibility when it comes to my results. And that's when that 997 turned into more thousands, and then into my first 5-figure months. And yeah, from then it became a vocation, and my obsession and my passion became my business. So that was that was the sequence.
Amazing. And I love that you share this journey, because it's so specific to, I definitely resonate with that. And for the types of clients that we work with, that push and pull between being a healer and being very focused on the energy part of the conversation, which I agree is the most important conversation in business, because, whatever's going on for us internally is showing up in our business. But having that, with marketing strategy, can often feel like it contradicts some of the, just trying to fit energy healing into a box is such a is like an impossible challenge, and it's such a unique modality to be working in, and it could, because it does show up in every single area, every single part of the strategy, every single part of our business and our personal life. So I'm curious to hear how you kind of like understand and define money mindset work.
So at that point of the journey, when I started speaking a lot about my understanding of money energy and how to work with the money energy, I call myself a money mindset mentor. And honestly, that is the title that stay there everywhere on my social media, because I didn't even find interest in playing with that anymore. I felt that it's irrelevant. What I do feel inside myself is that what I am sharing with my clients is actually an intuitive coaching, a spiritual coaching, which is a very holistic way approach of everything. I feel that money is just a piece of it, a slice of it, of this journey. It's basically what we are using to measure our progress, but it's not what creates our progress. Does this make sense? It's just what we are using in order to look how far we've come. But in order to get far, there are so many other important pieces to work on. And obviously people are being drawn towards, let's speak about money. Let's, show me the money, the boss lady kind of vibes, like how do we make more money? And this is an important part of the conversation. But then when we are going really deep, we realize that our work together, when we are working, we are taking people through this journey, is so deep and it's so beyond money. It's about identity, it's about worthiness, it's about beliefs, it's about working the quantum, it's about working with the energy and being able to master that energy and the beliefs that are helping the playfulness and the game of with the energy in the quantum. So money mindset is really only a small part of it. Is the part of the beliefs around money, the relationship with money, the capacity to play with the energy of money. But in order to be able to do that part, there is a lot of background or back office kind of work that needs to be done in order for us to be able to play with the frequency of money. Does this answer your question?
Yeah. I think it's such an interesting topic to talk about, because for me personally, like it's a relationship, right? And I know some people, so like our stuff, our baggage always shows up in our relationships, right? And I feel like money is one of those topics where just culturally we really give our power away, and we just have more often than not a disempowered conversation around our freedom and our ability to create as much wealth as we desire. And I know for some people it shows up in their love relationship, and it's in that space of trying to connect to and create that thing that we really desire. It's like that's where we have to take a good hard look at ourselves, and all of those stories or like limitations or unsupportive patterns come up for us to be able to shift them in order for our relationship with that thing to become easier. And that's definitely been my journey with money, just thinking like being a problem area for me, up until I was introduced to money mindset. And thinking just like trying to problem solve it has become such a journey of transformation, and a lot of trauma release work, and really looking at the toxic emotional patterns, the limiting beliefs, or conversations around self-worth, particularly as women, particularly as creatives, particularly as healers, and heart-centered entrepreneurs who genuinely want to do good things and want to grow and have an impact. It's such an important piece, and it's often such a sticking point for our community.
So true, because we are used to, again, to use money as a measurement. for our success, for our self-worth, for our value in the end. So this makes money be very emotionally charged, because when we look into our account, we feel something about who we are. So money is obviously a facilitator for our access to whatever are the choices that we want to make. But it's more than a facilitator. It's a reflection, for many people, is a reflection of what we feel about who we are. Because we believe that money, that freedom that we can access through money, is a direct reflection of who we are and our value. And this association makes it so hard to work with the energy of money. And as you said, in the end, money our relationship with money is a relationship. And the way we are showing up in our relationship with money, usually we are showing up in most of our relationships. That's why working on relationships and in the energy of our showing up in relationship will always be impacting money. And working with the energy of money in the relationship with money will be always impacting the rest of our relationships. It's always linked, because it's always energy, and it's always our showing up in this energy. So I would say the way we do money, we are mostly doing everything in our life, and everything shifts when we are shifting pieces of our handling our relationships. Or when we are shifting our relationship with money, the rest of the relationships will be shifting also. It's always a domino effect in both ways.
Yeah, it's so true. I've definitely can attest to that. And I see money as like one of our greatest teachers, because we are so culturally obsessed with it, because it, can make the difference between an incredible life or a limited life. And yeah, there's so many amazing lessons in that conversation. So what would you say is like the main message on your heart that you really wish people knew?
Right now, based on this conversation so far, I think that the one important message is for people to know that no matter what they are seeing right now in their account, they are already deserving. They already have value. They already are worthy, and they are already capable of accessing more. Money, the quantity of money that they have been accessing so far, each of us has been accessing so far, has nothing to do with our deservedness, with our worthiness, with our value, but with our capacity to receive more, which has nothing to do with our value. And I feel that when we are unhooking our worthiness from our receiving, we can receive more, because there is not that attachment like, oh my God, if I don't get more, then it means that I'm such a bad person, or I'm worthless, or I don't have enough value. When we can unhook those two things, our own value and deservedness, from our receiving, then we are unlocking our receiving. So maybe the next big message is that everything we see in our heart, everything you see in your heart is available to you. And you are worthy already. You are qualified already. You are able already. And you can start deciding to receive it right now.
Yeah, such a good message. I could talk about this with you for hours and hours and hours. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with everybody today. Where can people find out more about your work?
They can find more about my work on my website, which is CristinaBold.com, on my Instagram, which is the same, my name. And yeah, in any of these two places, I think that it will be a good start for anyone that is interested in joining my world.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Christina. And thank you everybody for watching. Bye.
Thank you so much.
For more inspirational content, head over to my website withsarahmac.com, and please support the show by liking, commenting, and subscribing.